10 minutes. Oh, sorry.
10-minute podcast.
That's all you've got.
Don't knock it over.
You get 10 minutes, right?
This is what we said was going to happen. It's okay.
It's because it's on the blanket.
Listen. Calm your fucking... This is what Danny does, and she's like, hold please.
Like, it's not... Oh, you can see half of my face. That's all you get.
Hang on.
Fucking hell.
Hang on. Just nobody breathe too hard.
Right. Are we good?
Yeah, but I don't want you being uncomfortable. Like, are you sitting...
I'm okay.
Are you comfy? I mean, I don't want your bad lady hips hurting. Look. Where's mine? I'm here.
Oh, you kind of can't see. Oh. If we just sit like this, you can't see it. Sorry, you're going to see my microphone. Tough.
Who cares?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Kira.
Good evening. Good afternoon. Good morning.
It's not like the Truman Show.
Do I?
Good morning. And in case I don't see you,
Oh,
good afternoon,
no.
good evening,
I hated
good
that
night.
movie.
My kids love it.
Oh, I hated that movie. I'm not keen on Jim Carrey.
Oh, Dumb and Dumber is my all-time favourite movie.
Yeah, it's Paul's all-time favourite too.
And Matt's. It's because we used to watch it in Extravision.
Nah, I hate it.
That's a story for another day.
It's too much for me. It's too intense. Anyway.
Hi.
It's been a hot minute since we were on properly. We're in Kira's house because we were down at the Soul Cauldron dropping some stuff off. And just doing a bit of Halloween shopping. Because why not?
Trying to find my mojo.
Also, Kira's lost her mojo. So if
Does
anybody
anyone know?
finds it
Anybody know where it is?
or knows where it is,
Or know how to get it back?
please let us know. What do you do if you lose your mojo? I don't know, really. You just throw... It's like having art block. She's got
Writer's block.
witch block.
Yeah.
Witchy block. Like artist block and writer's block.
And so I asked Naomi today, do you have to do witchcraft every day to be a witch? Just because I'm feeling so bleh. And her answer was?
Yes. No, it wasn't. It
Her
was
answer
no.
was no. And I was like, let's do a podcast on that.
Yeah. So we're going to do an FAQ on commonly asked witchcraft questions. And by commonly asked, we mean whatever the internet defines as commonly asked witchcraft questions.
We Googled it.
Oh yeah, we Googled it. That's what I mean. So, first question. What is witchcraft? How would you define witchcraft?
Worshipping the devil and loving boogeymen.
Yes. If you don't worship Satan, I don't know what to tell you. You're in the wrong. You're in the wrong
Dance
thing.
around a fire naked and all that sort of crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a witch.
If you don't have a demon as a pet,
Yeah.
also a big one in the craft, in the circles we keep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't have a branding of Satan on your body.
Yep. Or a third nipple of some sort. Absolutely.
Or like orgies.
Yeah. All of that stuff, really. So all the bad stuff. Okay. What is the actual definition?
Yeah.
Well, what is the definition of witchcraft? I think in the dictionary, it's something about believing in something that is supernatural beyond your normal beliefs, right? I always think of it as several things. It's a belief system, a faith system. I would never call it religious. I don't see it as a religion. I don't even like that term, actually, because religion to me is a very structured, like usually, well, okay, I'm so not meaning all religions. I'm speaking very generally, but religion is usually like one ultimate God, and it's the religion that you follow, and it's a very structured sort of faith. I don't like the word religion. It just has yucky connotations for me whenever I hear the word.
I would have to agree.
I don't like it, and I don't even like it if people say, "Oh, is that your religion?" Or I don't even like it when people use that. And
There are some people though who class witchcraft as a religion or paganism or Wiccan.
And that's
that
because
is
Wicca is classified as a religion.
Yeah,
but it's not. Well, if you're Wiccan, you can do that. That's fine. But as in witchcraft in itself, is not actually a religion. I would not call it a religion. I don't even think it sits in the brackets of how you would see a religious institute.
Can I just say too, before we go any further, anything that we discuss in here and the questions that we answer are our beliefs and our opinions. It doesn't make them right or wrong. The only thing that we ever want from this, our podcasts and what we talk about, is to instigate conversations and thoughts for other people to question or think deeper or do more research or something like that. So please don't ever feel like we are picking on anything particular or we are trying to get you to come around to our thought systems or our beliefs, because we are absolutely not. We are very much open to everybody's thoughts and beliefs, and we are purely just giving our own opinions and beliefs on anything that we talk about.
Everything we talk about is our own opinion, based on our own experiences, based on history that we know, knowledge, possibly family passed down information, and obviously a lot of it is in relation to how we grew up and how certainly Ireland and its heritage and the land and all of that kind of stuff has all sort of been inherited through me and through all the things that I've been taught through my parents and my grandmother and everything. So yeah, it's all just opinion. At the end of the day, as Mitch would say, do whatever the fuck you want. It's like, at the end of the day, like, witchcraft is extremely open. That is the beautiful thing about it. That's why I just don't like the word religion. Yes, Wicca is classified as a religion, but then, you know, I'm not a Wiccan witch, so I don't practice Wicca. But we'll talk about that in another question. So, what is witchcraft in itself? Witchcraft in itself is a belief or a faith or a spiritual... I don't even like the word system, because that's just too enclosed. It's so magical and so open that there's not really a word to help define it. But in terms of defining it for structure, you could say witchcraft is a system or a very open spiritual belief system that believes in using energy, the land, and the cosmos as full alignment for things that you want to protect or grow or whatever it is in your life. So it's used for healing, hexing, binding, manifestations, intention. It's used for all of it. It's light and it's dark. It's balanced. It's everything. It's literally everything everywhere. It's a very energy-based sort of practice. My type of witchcraft, or certainly as I see traditional witchcraft, is very land-based, seasonal-based. That's what that's what I come from in terms of like Irish witchcraft. So what is witchcraft? That is essentially what it is. And if you want to talk about how it was in the, you know, if we talk about the earliest recordings of a witch, or witchcraft in a sense, was back in, it was actually mentioned in the Bible. I think it's the Old Testament. King Saul. This is your area, Ciara. From yours.
I've kind of compartmentalized that all.
You've compartmentalized it. I'll not let Mickey bring it up.
It's in the filing cabinet, locked away somewhere.
So that's one of the earliest mentions of a witch. And I can't even remember her name. I want to say Witch Ethereal, but I'm not sure if it is her. That might be the Greek one. No, because we need your phone for our questions. Yeah, but we're winging it as always. We should have brought your laptop. Ciara said she'll bring the laptop so we can do stuff on it. And I said, we won't need it.
What do I need that for?
We clearly do need it. Anyway, the whole point is the earliest known mentions of a witch are used for sorcery. They're used for foretelling the future. They were used as necromancy. They were used to divine through the stars. And a lot of them were sorcerers or sorceress. I don't even think they were called that. They were just called seers, really, that worked with royalty in terms of predicting the future and all of that kind of stuff. So essentially, that is what a witch was defined as back then. Witchcraft then, throughout many cultures, they were known as healers. They knew about plants. They knew about the land. They knew about herb concoctions, potions, but really they were herbal remedies that you could drink. They were tinctures. They were things you could put on your skin, all that sort of stuff. So it became very land-based, very culturally appropriate to different populations throughout the world. And it sort of changed and moved with each country, with each culture, as we go through history and then up into what we see it as today. So essentially, does that answer what witchcraft is? Essentially, it is a land-based faith where we see energy in everything, and we use that energy to do our will, ultimately. And that is a very broad, very general sort explanation of it, but it means different things in different cultures. And depending on what type of witchcraft you study or perform, it means also different things then too. So it's not a definitive explanation because it can't be. It's too big and too wide to be able to just box into one thing. But ultimately, it's extremely spiritual, very open. There is not one god or one goddess. It is deity of many religions and cultures. And it's very land-based in terms of herbal remedies, herbal tinctures, candle work, all of that kind of stuff. So, next question. Is witchcraft evil? Want to answer that one, Kira?
No.
It's no as in no, you won't answer it, or no, it's not evil?
No, it's
no
not
to
evil.
both?
No, it's not evil.
No.
And anyone who thinks that it is are very well misinformed.
So you were brought up very
Religious. And I was taught that anything to do with Satan and the devil and witchcraft and basically anything not to do with God was evil. And obviously witchcraft and the devil and all of that falls into the realm of it's just pure evil. And anyone who follows any of that is going straight to hell and will be damned for eternity. Now,
that is what you were taught, though?
Yeah, that is. And that is what a lot of people under the Christian faith are taught. In fact, everybody's taught that. And so that's what I always grew up believing, that it was evil, it was scary, it was something that you had to stay away from. We weren't allowed to watch a lot of things on TV. We weren't allowed to listen to a lot of different musics. Although when my brothers were teenagers, they all listened to heavy metal music. And I think it just got to the point where my parents couldn't really do anything about it. But as I've gotten older, I've just kind of I often questioned what makes any one religion the right religion and the rest of them the wrong religion. And I couldn't come up with an answer because to me there isn't one. Everybody who follows a religion, in my personal opinion, is because they have to have faith in something. And it's easier for them to put that faith in a being or their God because that's how they can attach to it. For me, in witchcraft, I don't need to attach to anything because, in my opinion, everything is connected through the ether, through vibration, through energy. And so that's why, energy can't be evil.
No, it's neutral.
Yeah.
It's just neutral. It's what it's used for, or it's what the practitioner or the person sensing the energy wants to do with the energy, or if it sits in lower vibration or higher vibration. It's you can get quite complicated with it, but in a general sense, you're absolutely right. It's not evil. And it's funny again how it's always fear rather than knowledge, rather than other faith systems. And again, I'm talking very generally, but rather than other faith systems saying, well, go and find out about it, right? Here's the knowledge behind that information. It's always immediate fear mongering. No, you can't because you'll go straight to hell, or no, you can't because this, don't even speak the name or this. And it's like, Well, none of that makes sense. And actually, if you think of human psychology and how everything works, it just makes you more curious.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you go, oh, I shouldn't. And yeah, maybe some people do and they live their life like that. But at some point, everyone thinks, but why? But what? Because it's in your human nature to be curious and to discover.
But I think that's why a lot of people who are brought up in religious backgrounds don't think outside of the box, because that fear is just driven into them. Well, if you look into this, you're going to be damned by the evil.
Whoever. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you will be damned. So don't. Just listen to us. We know what we're talking about. We tell the truth. This is all there is. And there's nothing else. Anything else that's out there is evil, and you shouldn't touch it. You shouldn't look at it. You shouldn't do anything with it. Just stay away from it, because that's how they keep a reign on everything.
That's how control starts, which turns into obsession, turns into a cult, quite frankly. You know, it's all about power, and then it becomes about power and how much power and control you have over it, which then turns to greed and all those yucky, horrible things that we don't want to get involved in. Witchcraft is not like that at all. And I think that is, and I actually don't like it when people try to pigeonhole it, or when people try to really structure it into a certain thing. Now, I know Wicca has a certain structure to it. That's fine. That's totally fine. That's not here nor there. But but as a whole, you can be a solitary witch and just practice however you want to practice. It really doesn't matter, because it's an extremely open spiritual belief and practice. It's not, the thing is too, religion, I would say, is a belief, whereas witchcraft is more of a practice. It is a belief, but if we think about what you're doing, if you think about the terms of a witch and what a witch does, in my opinion, practice is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
I am, when I call myself a witch, I am a practitioner of the craft, of magic, and all of what that entails. So it's not evil. It's just open. It cannot be defined. It shouldn't be defined. And I think because of that, and because there is no control, and because there is no overarching being of damnation or of the ultimate ruler or commander, whatever you want to call it, right? God or whatever. Because of that, it makes it very open, and it makes it very free. And that gives people fear, which is why I think where the evil stuff comes from. Because it's like, what do you mean there's no control in it? How do you control your members? Nobody controls anybody. Because it's an empowerment. Membership. There's no membership. It's an empowerment. Yeah, that's the point.
And you're free to express yourself in whatever way you
self-discovery.
Yeah, you see fit. One thing that I've always been very adamant about with my kids, and this was even before I kind of fully turned to witchcraft, is that whatever you want to know about any religion, you find it out. Yeah. Oscar came to me a couple of weeks ago. His school, which is just a state school, so they don't necessarily do religious studies or anything there. And he came to me and he said, Mama, I've got this note for religious studies. I have to sign it if I'm going to do it or not do it. Like, I've got to send a note back. And I was like, that's okay. Do you want to do it? And he was like, well, I know what you're going to say. I said, what do you think I'm going to say? And he's like, you're going to say no because you're a witch. And I was like, that's not quite true. Yes, I am a witch, but I am never going to say, no, you can't go and learn about something, because at the end of the day, I was brought up in a religious home where I had to believe that. Not I had to believe that.
Well, you weren't given an option.
That's all I was taught. And everything else was evil. If my kids want to worship God under Christianity or Catholicism, or if they want to worship Allah or Buddha or whoever it may be, great, go and do that. As long as you don't push your opinions onto other people. If that's what you want to believe, you do that. But you cannot go out and protest that everybody else is wrong and you're right. because you don't have that right to do that.
Nobody does.
Yeah. And I said, so Oscar, if you want to do this, you can by all means do it, but you have to give me a reason why you want to do it. And he sat for about 10 minutes and he said, I think I'm going to do it, Mum. And I said, why? And he said, because I'd like to know more about it just so that I can then decide if it's something that I believe in or not. I said, great, you can do it then.
I just enrolled my kids in Christian faith here. I'm not even a Christian. I just enrolled them in it. I didn't even care because we grew up in Ireland, right? So in Ireland, as we discussed before, it's all Christian. You just get taught the Christian faith. It's just part of your curriculum.
You either go to a Protestant school where you learn Christianity, or you go to a Catholic school where you learn Catholicism.
And that's it. There's no sort of in between. There is now mixed schools, but that wasn't the case back when we were kids. Yeah. So we were just taught Christian faith regardless. And like my mom and dad didn't care, even though they weren't Christians, and so when I actually came here and enrolled my kids here, I just enrolled them straight away into RE. And like Bella used to question it all the time and say, oh, but Mom, you don't. And I'm like, but I used to say to them, yeah, but I'm not worried about, I don't care whether you become a Christian or not anyway, you don't have to follow what I do. And then I would say to them, I would rather you have some knowledge of some religion or an understanding of what spirituality is. And because they're offering Christianity in this school, great, I'm signing you up for it. But then, of course, halfway through, Bella was like, can you get me out of RA? I don't like it. Because she had so many problems with the structure and how, once they started talking about Jesus turning water into wine and all, she was then arguing with the teacher and saying, I think Jesus is a witch. And the teacher was like, he wasn't a witch. He was, the savior of man. And Bella was like, okay, but does he come from this planet? And then she was drawing things on her RE booklet where Jesus was on another planet and Earth was here. And she'd be like, Jesus. And then she wrote Jesus and he comes from here. And I was like, okay, let's pull you out. That's fine.
Yeah.
So I don't really, I'm not. And Ben at one point wanted to be Muslim when he was best friends with his other friend. And then he discovered Muslim. He discovered that he was a Muslim and discovered a little bit about the Muslim faith. And he said to me, Mom, I think I might want to be Muslim. And I was like, great. Should we just talk a little bit about it? I knew it wasn't for him anyway. I'm not trying to make decisions for him, but I was like, this isn't. So I researched some of it because I don't know much about the Muslim faith. Gave him some pointers on it and he went like his hair. Oh, no. Yeah, I don't think I can give that up. No, I don't think I want to be Muslim. And I was like, great, no problem. That's fine.
Informed decisions. That's what it's all about.
Informed decisions, yeah. So I don't push anything on my kids, but I would rather them know. I think what's great is that they get to know the spirituality that is out there and they can choose one if they even want to choose one. They don't have to choose anything. They could be atheist if they want.
Yeah.
They can choose something that sits within their values and their core beliefs.
Yeah.
So these are our core beliefs, I guess you could say. So no, it is not evil. It's just free and free from oppression and free from greed and free from control and power. And because of that, people deem it as evil.
And I think a lot of people go, are you a good witch or are you a bad witch?
Neither.
There's no such thing. It really is the intentions that you have that you put into your practice.
How you use it. Integrity is everything.
Yeah.
Always use integrity in the craft. So how do I start practicing witchcraft?
Smoke a joint and run around a fire naked.
That's how they used to do it, Kira. We don't do that anymore. We never did that. Well, maybe they did in some circles. You just start. You find witchy shops, for example, that sell some witchy things and you go and ask. A lot of stuff from witchcraft, and I still find it's very like this in the UK and in Northern Ireland. It's like this here. This is what I find is all word of mouth. Yes, there's a ton of stuff on the internet, but in terms of things you can participate in and meet other witches and sort of in-person events, it's all word of mouth. It's all speaking to people in the know, but a lot of it starts with your metaphysical shop. They know people, they maybe put on workshops. If you find people on Instagram, just start following them because it doesn't matter that they're in another country. They might be affiliated with other people who are in different countries. And then you just eventually start to hone in on what's around you, where you live, or, you know, in your sort of space. And just start watching a good one, because it's quite visual, like audio things like this, like podcasts, books. And I personally, even though I don't follow like a Wicca faith or anything like that there, I think any witchcraft book gives you the fundamentals of witchcraft, because I have read a ton of them. And I'm always reading witchcraft books, all different types for different things. And they're all the same. They all fundamentally start the same way. And then there's always only, and maybe because I'm more experienced, there's always just a small section in the book that actually is what I'm interested in. And the rest of it is just all the stuff that I'm like, oh my God, yeah, okay, skip through that. I don't need to know all that. So you don't have to think to yourself, oh, but I don't know what type of witchcraft, and doesn't matter. All of the books will tell you the same thing. Just pick up a book from your library. You don't even need to go and, Kira gets loads of stuff from the library. You don't even need to go to buy a book. Just literally go and pick up any book on witchcraft, beginner witchcraft, anything like that. Something simple and easy to read.
The Way of the Witch. Pick this up from the library. Haven't even read it, but I just picked them up just to see what's in it and
have a flick through.
Yeah. How to build your own practice.
Yeah. So there's loads out there.
Tools.
That would be how you start. And then, because it's always good to have some sort of knowledge base first, because that way you can make a more informed decision that if it's for you or not. You don't have to make definitive decisions, but certainly you can have a read through it and think, oh yeah, okay, this is what I sort of thought, so this is great. And then from there, you visit metaphysical shops, right? You go in, you speak to these people, and follow people on Instagram, find out different podcasts in your area, and then eventually you'll sort of just find your own little witchy people, and you'll just, you know, that are into the same type of witchcraft or the same vibe as you, right? Just like any sort of club that you go to, or that makes it sound like a club, but like a hobby, like if you were starting tennis or whatever, you know, it's like the same sort of thing. So that is really how you start. You just go and buy a book. All the books tell you the same stuff. Some are more complicated than others. And just read it. And first of all, make a decision on whether you want to do that, and start following people on Instagram. Again, most of the stuff and most of the people that are putting things out there are fundamentally the same. Yes, some of it's for show and some of it's for, you know, it's media, you know, and all of that kind of stuff. But again, if you can look behind that, it's all sort of the same stuff. It's all that background, same witchcraft fundamental foundation. So that would be my guess as to, well, my advice, I guess, on how you would start practicing, right?
Yep. And if you're not sure, reach out to us.
Yeah.
We're always happy to answer questions and point you in the right direction.
Yeah, I wouldn't go and just join a witchcraft course straight away that costs you thousands of dollars.
No
That's
way.
just not something. I don't think those are beneficial at the very start of your journey, because you don't even know if you're going to like it. Like, it's best if you can first of all speak to somebody in person, someone knowledgeable on the subject material, buy a book that you've read or maybe you've dabbled before, and then you can look into courses. Are really good for when you want to really structure your craft and you want to really understand certain aspects of the craft. That's what you get out of a course. Not necessarily like, oh, I'm brand new, I don't even know if I want it. And it's like, then maybe just go and watch some videos first, read some books, just even one book, right? Just start to really just get at least a basic understanding of it.
Or find a blog online.
Blogs are great.
You don't have to pay for that.
Yep.
Find a blog online, or
the library has loads though. I don't even go to your library, but you go all the time and they have loads of books.
Yeah. I just Google books online, and then I go on to I've got the library app on my phone. I literally go on there and jump into the catalog and look up. And if I don't have the name of a book that I'm looking for, I'll just put in keywords that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Or when the kids are at the library, I'll go and stand at the computer and just fiddle around with the catalog. And I wouldn't say there is an abundance of books at the library, but because I'm part of a bigger library, so we've got a decent sized library here, but we're part of Ipswich Library, which is massive. Sometimes I have to get them transferred from another library and I've got to wait a week or a couple of days or whatever, or they're on loan and I've got to reserve it, or But, I just keep jumping on and reserving stuff. And if it's good, I'll hold on to it. And if it's crap, I'll just take it back again. That's the good thing about the library. You're not paying for stuff that you might not resonate with.
Yes.
Because, books might have the same information, but how it's written might be what grasps your attention.
And, if you want to actually buy a book, maybe look up authors online. If authors have put out lots of different books, chances are they're fairly knowledgeable in the subject. Look up where they're from, right? Because culture and country and things like that have like if you want to learn witchcraft in Australia, a lot of the time you want to follow the Southern Hemisphere Sabbats, whereas obviously English and British witches follow the Northern Hemisphere Sabbats, and a lot of their books would have Northern Hemisphere Sabbat information in it. So it's just things like that to think about.
And then you find witches like us who...
We do both.
We don't know what one we're doing, so we just do all of them.
We just do all of them. Because I feel weird practicing the Southern ones and not practicing the Northern ones, so I just do both.
Yeah.
And that's okay, because I'm dual citizen and whatever else, so I don't really... That's just...
Our ancestry is deeply rooted in...
the Northern Hemisphere.
But we live in the Southern Hemisphere. So, going by the wheel of the year...
Energy-wise, energetically-wise, I try to go by the Sabbats and the season that we're in here, because I'm obviously living here and my body's feeling those seasonal shifts. But I suppose ritually, or if I want to honor the Sabbats, it would be through the Northern Hemisphere.
So sometimes you'll see us celebrating Samhain in October.
I always celebrate Samhain in October anyway. I celebrate in May and in October because it was a very big practice in my Northern Irish craft. So I don't want to lose that. That's just part of, I would get my parents on the phone and then we do something. Chant through the phone. I can't hear you. Louder! So that is how I would start if you were thinking of starting it. Next question. Are there different types of witches? Yep. Yes, there are. Just like there are different types of people and religions and cultures.
Blonde witches and brunettes and redheads.
All different types. And the reason for that is because witchcraft, as I said earlier, is an extremely open and freeing spiritual expression, I guess is the best way. Yeah. So it naturally, people forge it to suit their own needs and their own self-discoveries, which is completely correct. That is what everybody does. That's the whole point of it. It's supposed to be an empowering practice. And depending on where you live, culturally has a massive effect on how witchcraft is used or how it functions, or they may be particularly strong in certain areas. So like if we think about Irish witchcraft, a lot of herbs, a lot of land-based stuff is very prominent throughout all types of witchcraft that's practices. Yes, there's several different types of witchcraft in Ireland, but they ultimately always have that. There's different types of witchcraft that practice very, like if we think of hoodoo, would we even call that witchcraft? That might just be, again, I don't want to be inappropriately talking about a practice that I don't know that much about, but if we think of hoodoo or voodoo, it has a very spiritual, ancestral take on it, more so than it would in Ireland, I would say, right? Like, yes, we can speak to our ancestors to different things, but it wouldn't necessarily be, a main focus. Whereas if you think about hoodoo and voodoo religion, would it be classified? I'm not even sure. I shouldn't even say that because I actually don't know. So I apologize straight away.
I don't think it is classed as a religion. It's kind of
it is a big spiritual practice, and it's very deep rooted in culture. So if we think about that, they have a very ancestral spirit type of practice. If they even call it witchcraft, they might not even call it witchcraft. They might just call it hoodoo or voodoo. And again, that's very fear-mongered as well, because people just assume voodoo dolls and different things, but it doesn't. It's actually mainly French and African.
Yeah.
That's what it's mainly made up of. So, and there's a lot of Catholicism in the craft, in hoodoo or voodoo, because Saint Mary is a big, Mary was a very big, one of their ultimate deities.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because, and I think that was due to the Africans. That was the African descent, because when the Africans came to New Orleans, when they migrated, it sort of started to merge religions together. And like Mary then became a major saint in their practice. I don't know if that's still the case today, but that's in the history books. But so anyway, the point is, what I'm saying is lots of different things will merge with culture. It'll depend on, you know, the place or the area that they're from. So yes, there's all different types of witches. And even if you belong to a Wicca type of practice, there are all different types of Wiccans. So in Wicca, you mainly have the two, Alexandrian Wiccan, or what's the other one? Gardnerian, yeah. So Charles Gardner, that's from the Gardnerian one, and Alexander Wiccan is from the Thoth guy. Oh my God, it's gone out. He's just flown out of my head. Two males.
So they're the two guys who created the Wiccan religions and the two kind of
And it was sort of split into two pathways. And so a lot of people fell under the Alexandrian witchcraft, Wiccan witchcraft, or the Gardnerian one. Anyway, so again, you can see that Wicca has very set and split types of culture, and they believe different things. Like they fundamentally, the basics of witchcraft is the same, but they have very different deity pools and very different beliefs in certain aspects of the craft. There's nowhere near enough time to go into it, but
they've got different rituals and what do you call it, where you get like inductions and things like that. Yes,
that's right. So I nearly had it there. Alexander. I'll have it. What do you see? When this podcast's over, I'll be like, that's his name.
It's all right. You can post it.
It's okay. I'm not an Alexandrian witch anyway. So yes, there's all different types of witches basically. And then if you want to get to types of witches, you see on the internet all the time, there's things like crystal witches and sea witches and different things. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think they're quite fun, actually. Storm witches and all this kind of stuff, right?
Witch, kitchen witch.
Kitchen witch. It just, because it's such a freeing, empowered spiritual faith system or practice, a lot of people put types in place, and it's not to control people, it's more to help define it so that they feel like they fit more in this area or they fit more in that area. And that's completely fine. So you don't have to, if you see anything like that written in books or on the internet, you don't have to take it as gospel. You can put yourself in one of those boxes if that makes you feel more secure and you feel like, oh, I do feel like I fit in this space. That's fine. Call yourself a crystal witch. Like, doesn't matter.
I think sometimes too, people feel more comfortable putting themselves in that criteria because it gives them something to focus on.
Yeah.
You know, so I would never call myself a kitchen witch because I hate being in the kitchen.
You know, I wouldn't call myself a kitchen witch.
I hate cooking and I hate baking, but your mum loves it.
Yeah, my mum's a big kitchen witch.
You know, she bakes with intention and she puts sigils on her pies and all that sort of stuff. Makes
truth pies for my dad to eat, and she wants the truth out of him.
You know, and you've got garden witches who like to dabble in growing their own herbs and all that sort of stuff.
I can't grow anything, so that's not me either.
No, but it just helps.
We're hopeless, Kira.
I know. That's why we're just kind of...
We're everything.
We're woo-woo witches. We just like to go and do our thing, and whatever grabs us at that point in time, that's what we like to do. Like, we like to do a lot of candle work and making abundance bowls, and we have crystals.
Alexander Crowley. Oh my God, I knew I would get it.
Scared the absolute jeebus out of me right then.
Sorry, Alexander Crowley was the Alexandrian.
Were you thinking about that the whole time?
Yes, I kept going, my God, it is on the tip of my tongue, and I don't know why it's flown out of my head. I feel like I'm getting dumber as I get older instead of smarter. Even though I'm learning more, I just can't think of anything.
Anyway, if you feel like if you're someone who needs something to focus on, find something that you enjoy and put a little bit of witchcraft on it.
Exactly.
If you like cooking, put a little bit of magic in.
And you don't have to stay in those restrictive sort of boxes either. If you want to classify yourself as that, just do it for now if you feel like that's where you fit into. But the whole point of the craft is there's so many areas to explore and discover that you get to try everything. You get to be part of all religions, and you get to dabble in all of it, as long as you do it responsibly and with integrity. And then your tastes change, right? Or your traditions change, or you feel a pull towards certain things. And that can be through past lives speaking to you, ancestors speaking to you. So never be afraid to explore and discover different things. But certainly if you want to put yourself into your criteria, just go ahead and do that. Like, there's nothing wrong with all of it. Like I said, at the heart of all of this stuff, the witchcraft is all the same. It is literally all the same. It's what is different is the rules and the conditions that are put on it through maybe the practitioner or the style of witchcraft or how you can do certain things. But the actual spells or the fundamentals of it, all the same thing.
So on that note, another question that I've just seen there is, are there different types of magic as well?
Yes.
So different types of witchcraft, different types of witches, different types of magic.
Yes, there are. All magic is different. I don't think you could... Magic is so universally... It is too massive for us to comprehend. I don't think that we have the knowledge or the language to be able to explain or even really try to define that, because it is just far too, it's bigger than us. It's the universe. You know, if you think about the ether, it is far too big for us to try and wrap our heads around it. So what we do is we take tiny, tiny little sparks from the universe and we use that as our magic, as part of what we want to do. Different types of magic could be things like, say magic. Magic is all the same because magic is energy, but there's different types of practicing that magic. So you could use that magic in different ways, like knot magic, sigil magic, candle magic, ancestral magic, folk magic, herbs, seasonal magic, necromancy, divination, hoodoo and voodoo, puppet making. The list is literally endless. And again, it's too big and too vast to be able to really understand it. Visualization, right? And if you think of different cultures that use types of magic or energy work through visualizations, meditations, if we think about the Vikings and we think about like the Indians, I'm thinking of like the chiefs, the smoke that like smoked,
like the Native Americans,
like the Native American Indians. That is all magic. Not necessarily all wouldn't classify as witches, but it's all magic used in a different way. Through ceremony is different, the ritual is different, the culture is different. The deity, if present, is different. How they connect to that energy is different. So there's just no way to classify it in one tiny little word or box.
Yeah.
But it is all different. That is why, again, you cannot possibly control witchcraft, or you cannot box it in. It's just not really possible. And I like to have the freedom to just be who I want to be and discover whatever I feel drawn to discover without classifying myself into a little box. But I still don't feel like there's anything wrong with that either, because it is so big.
Yeah. And it's very personal. Witchcraft is a very personal journey. Like, we obviously do our witchcraft journey together, and you obviously do it with your parents as well. But at the end of the day, everybody's journey is very different and very singular and very personal to you, because you'll always do what feels right to you and what you're drawn to.
Yeah. So, last question. What is a coven? A coven is typically, if you think of a traditional coven, again, this is just, I'm thinking traditionally as in historically. A coven can now include men and women and as many members as you want. But traditionally, a coven was 13 members, and it had a high priestess and a priest in it, and it had the high priestess and the priest, and then it had the members of the coven. And there were usually 3 stages of, what would I call it? Not induction, initiation. Yep. There were usually 3 stages of initiation. The high priestess ran the coven, and she had ultimate say over everything. So the priest, who was usually always male, and that was again to counterpart the female aspect of deity and the masculine aspect of deity. He did everything the high priestess said. She had ultimate decision over everything. It never was over 13 members. And you had every member in the coven had a duty and a role to play during coven work. So you were not usually allowed to practice witchcraft outside of the coven. And sometimes you weren't even allowed to practice at all unless you got to a certain initiation within the coven. This is the really old historical sort of notion of what a coven did. Now it is obviously much more open. I mean, again, we belong to a coven, but it's an open coven.
Yeah.
And we love it. We would never, I love it. I just could not say any more about it. I just would be so devastated if it ever went away. So please don't ever leave. It's no.
You know who you are.
I want her to stay the high priestess forever because I love it. But I don't but obviously in today's standards, a coven can be open to any number of people, members. And there is not that same structured sort of initiation phase. And the whole point of the initiation was that the high priestess knew the most information. And it wasn't just, I suppose you could say there was a level of control in that, but it wasn't actually for control. It was for knowledge, because magic was seen as such a high valued and important role that you could not misuse it, and you could not use it for your own selfish good. It was for the good of the people or the good of what you were trying to do. So the high priestess knew information that not just she learnt through her 3 initiations, but she learnt through other priestesses. So when she gets promoted to the high priestess, the knowledge that the other high priestess knows is secret knowledge is passed on to her. And then she knows that information that only she knows until she decides to leave and another high priestess is appointed, and then she will pass on that knowledge. So it was kind of done. Yes, there was a hierarchy. You do have to have some sort of hierarchy, otherwise everyone would just be a headless chicken. You have to have some degree of hierarchy because you need somebody that has the knowledge so that they can structure what it is that people want to do. But it was purely for that. It was purely for the value of the coven and what we actually want to put out there. And if you were the coven, if you were the high priestess of a coven of 3 covens, so if you had become, if people left your circle to become high priestess, if more than 3 left to become high priestess of different covens, then you became the witch queen. And you were known as the witch queen, and you had 3 things on your belt. Just a notches. They also wore very ceremonial robes, and there was a lot of knot magic that symbolized different stages of initiation. Sorry, something's got stuck in my throat. Anyway, that is what a coven traditionally was. Now it can be anything you want. You can meet as many times as you want as well. That was never sort of specified. And there's no way to fully define a coven, because covens, especially back in the day and traditionally, were very word of mouth, and the rules around that was very word of mouth, and only the coven members knew. So it wasn't written about. And there's only a few books on coven work and coven members and how that worked. But they come from quite a Wicca based, I'm thinking of Kate West's book on coven work. I love Kate West though. I really enjoy her talks, even though she's a Wicca witch. I don't address myself as Wiccan. I love a lot of things that she talks about and her values and different stuff. So that's really, isn't that all you would classify a coven of now? Because there's online covens as well. There's in-person covens. I like to think of any circle we provide for people as like a little coven.
Yeah.
A little open coven.
A coven, to me, a coven is very much like a gathering, I suppose, of people on a regular basis.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's just a circle or a workshop.
Merry meet, merry be. That was a witch's greeting, but it meant more than a greeting. But I don't know. I don't think it was ever.
What is it? Merry be?
No, merry meet. It was a very old witches used to say that when they, merry meet, merry part. That's it. But it was a
Merry meet is a pagan and Wiccan greeting, meaning happy to meet or hello, while merry part is a farewell, essentially meaning may we part happily.
Yeah, but it was said throughout a lot of very old witchcraft, but or coven work, I guess you could say. But there is a lot of not research. There's a lot of blogs or a lot of talk on the fact that meant more than that. It actually was like a spell.
Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again.
Yeah, it was actually like a. They had say that it meant more than that. It wasn't just a greeting by witches. It had like a special spell meaning, I guess, to it. But that's not. They don't actually know. It's not been discovered yet. Again, that could have been information that the High Priestess knew, and you only knew if you became High Priestess. But took a lot of work, took years of work as well. I think as well, part of that was to show your dedication to the craft, so that not everybody could be a High Priestess, and then dilute that information, because I do think it is important to protect traditional information, or certainly our history that we know of in the past. It's important to protect that, and it's important to understand it and know it. You might not agree with it, and it might not have a space in today's society, and that's completely fine, but it's still important to know it.
Yeah.
And it's still important to have an understanding of it. I think that absolutely shapes how we move forward in the future.
Yeah, agree.
Any other questions? They're the general ones that people always ask about witchcraft.
Can you make me a cup of tea?
Yeah, I can't magic one, but I can do one in practical, the mundane world, or I can get my daughter to make one. Little goblin that she is.
Do you have to practice witchcraft every day?
No.
But here's the thing. Here is the thing. Many people are actually doing witchcraft without actually knowing. If you wish upon a star, if you blow a dandelion, if you blow a candle out and make a wish. Lots of people think that that's all part of witchcraft. That's magic.
It's just magic. You can classify it as witchcraft if you want. Like I said, it's very open. But I mean, there's no gatekeeping. This is the thing. And there really isn't any gatekeeping. There shouldn't be any gatekeeping. But you should have knowledge on the craft. You can't just... I don't agree with people just knowing one small tiny thing and then being like, I'm a witch. Teaching people a bunch of witch. It's like you should be knowledgeable on the craft. You don't have to practice it all. That's fine. You don't even have to believe it all, but you should have the knowledge. The issue I have is when people don't have the knowledge to back it up, or when people don't have the knowledge to be able to perform courses, right? Or teach them, or different things like that. They go to a course
once and they're like, I can absolutely do
because
this.
What happens is the information gets diluted each time, and then what they're teaching people is, I see it as like an echo of the original voice. And that echo each time gets less and less profound and harder to hear, to the point where someone who is learning witchcraft or learning a form of witchcraft is so diluted from the original traditional witchcraft that they end up, I sometimes think this is how spells can be misperformed. Intention's not quite correct.
It's kind of like a form of Chinese whispers, isn't it?
It's like Chinese whispers. Yeah. So I do agree. So all that, I don't see that as gatekeeping. I just see that as, do your research. As a practitioner, do your research, read books, watch podcasts, follow people who are witches and who know their stuff that you like. Ask questions.
If you're asking someone a question,
don't just read a spell on the internet and say, oh, it says to do this. It's like, well, do you know what that herb does? It could just be, anybody could have put that together.
But what I'm saying is, if you ask someone questions and they make you feel like an idiot, they don't know what they're talking about. Anybody who is
nobody should be defensive
believer in the craft should not have any qualms about giving you information, teaching you telling you whatever you're asking, like, you're not being inducted into a religion. It is an open space. It is an open forum. Anybody can practice this. Anybody can do it, but you need to get your information. And if you're asking someone a question and they're making you feel less than, find somebody else to ask a question.
Yeah, don't think that you're wrong.
If you ask us a question and we can't answer it for you, we will direct you to someone who can, or we will find out the information for you.
Yeah. And don't forget, some answers aren't black and white. Like some people have a question, it's like there's just not a black and white answer. It's just a lot of stuff is very grey, and we can give you possible options and choices, but ultimately it's up to you to practice it so that you know, it's not really for me, but I kind of like this bit. It's like, good, go in that direction then. That is where you're being pulled. That's where energetically you align or you vibe, so to speak.
Take what resonates and leave what doesn't.
So there isn't always black and white answers. And you should never be, nobody knows everything. It's like I said before, it is no possible way to know absolutely everything there is to know. Yeah. As long as you have somebody that you feel good learning from, or, asking questions with. But I cannot say enough to read as much as you can. Yeah. Read as much as you can. You get so much from books. And you don't have to take it as gospel. Like Kira says, you just leave what doesn't resonate. I read all the time. I have so many different witchcraft books, and I wouldn't necessarily pick up a beginner's witchcraft book, but if it had like a certain something in it, I would pick it up, because I would go, I want to read that chapter though.
Yeah.
See what she says about it.
Listen to your intuition. You'll know what sits right with you and what doesn't.
Yeah.
That's a really big thing for me in the craft, listening to my gut.
It's hard to do when there's a lot of white noise. And if you're not sure, ask a friend or ask another witchy sister if you know of any. Never be afraid to reach out. I mean, witches stick together. Most of us do. There's a lot of witchcraft in the craft too, but most of the time it's just witchcraft.
Yep.
It's about empowerment and self-discovery, and that is what you're here to learn and to understand your own true power within the universe, where you sit, energy, all of that kind of thing. So it's really important to just remember that and to always do that as you move forward. And no, you don't have to do spells every day. I don't do spells every day. I'm like, who has time for that? But I do intentions every day, whether it's just in my bed or when I'm drinking my tea. I do a tarot reading every morning. I pull cards. I do divination all the time. I have my Florida water hand sanitizer with me all the time. Like, all of that is constantly influencing my craft and things that I do. And I try to always be aware. But again, that's different because I've been a witch for a very long time. That comes easy to me. It doesn't necessarily come easy to other people. Take it slow. It's not a race. Be the tortoise.
You're always learning, always evolving. And if you're not, I don't know. You
can't stand still. Even if you want to, you can't stand still because the world is moving. So you just try to choose to just move forward, even if it's a tiny, minuscule bit. That's okay.
Yeah.
Then you've moved forward a tiny little bit. And that's it. That's our podcast. We thought we'd do a little witchy FAQ. Maybe we'll do a more in-depth one. Not on the next one, but like with more complex questions. Like, what is not magic? How would you use sigil magic?
KNOT, not NOT.
Yeah, what is KNOT?
I think I need
or cord. We should call it cord magic.
I need a cup of tea.
Yes. So until then,
keep your magic moving.
Be your wonderful witchy selves. Help out a witchy sister.
Ask us any questions. Reach out either through here or through the Green Witches of Ireland on Instagram. Shoot us an email. Whatever you need.
Yes. We're always here. That was so aligned. We're always here in the witchy community for all our little witchy sisters. Okay, well, we love you.
Tea time. Bye.
Bye.